Everybody, welcome back to Conversations in Pop Culture, and we are back in the saddle once again for another season. And I have with me comic creator and owner of Big Dog Inc., Tom Hutchison. So welcome back to the show, because I think it's 4 or 5 times at this point.
Oh, it's way more than 4. It's easily more than 4. So we're gonna stick with 5 because I know it's more than 4.
Yeah, but no, I'm happy to have you back. Obviously, you've been on this show in many different facets, both individual interviews, just showing up when nobody else would show up,
Right.
hangouts. Good stuff. Good stuff. But you have a very interesting Kickstarter going on right now, and that is Penny for Your Soul War Remastered Hardcover Edition. And this one's kind of special in a lot of ways because it's the book that started it all.
Yeah.
And it's really the impetus for Big Dog Inc. Apparently, no publishers wanted it, which is odd because it's a great book. And so, what is Penny for Your Soul for those who are hearing about it for the first time? Because there are people who have been with you for 13 years, and there are people who have just now started to discover you and have no idea half of Big Dog Inc.
Sure. Yeah, Penny for Your Soul, it's a lot of things, but the baseline of Penny for Your Soul is a demon decides she wants to get in on the end of days battle between heaven and hell. So she sets herself up in Las Vegas with a hotel and casino, offers to buy her patron souls for $10,000. Of course, heaven and hell start to notice all these missing souls and come looking, and that's what kicks this whole thing off. It is what we're doing with this particular campaign is Volume 1 War has been out of print for like 6 years. And so it was really, really more than time to get this back in print. And with this year being our 13-year anniversary for Big Dog Inc., we're doing a lot of really weird stuff. Like in the past couple of years, we've been really hyper focusing on books that have like a 10-year anniversary and so on. But this year we're doing a lot of weird stuff. So I was like, this is a perfect year for us to do just something that's sort of outside the box of what we've been doing. So it's a completely remastered book. I shouldn't say completely. It's remastered in the context of the writing and the dialogue that you actually see on the page. The story is not changing. The art is not changing. But the reality is that the book that I wrote 13 years ago and published and that somehow launched this company and became popular was really, really poorly written by myself. As I'm going back in to remaster it, right? Because I have the original like trade paperbacks here. And so I'm kind of reading what I did here. I have the original scripts that I'm kind of working back and forth on. I'm reading this stuff and I'm like, God damn, I sucked 13 years ago. I was terrible 13 years ago. So, I have to give like major thanks to the fans who apparently liked the concept enough to sort of overlook the garbage writing that I was doing. And so, it's kind of humbling to go back and look at this because I knew it was not great, right? I mean, just in my brain, I'm like, it was early on. It's probably not great. I'm way better than I am now. But I had no idea how shitty it was. And so, thank you to all the fans who just dove in and said, you know what, we're going to run with this concept. We're just going to have fun with it. This is like, we're going to treat this like a B movie, like it's Roger Corman schlock. Like I'm fine with that. And so, now we've elevated, we've escalated. This book has become way more than what is in what I did back 13 years ago.
So let's actually talk about this because this is one of the things that is super interesting. And there's another book that I'm going to mention, Polar. And some people know Polar. It's a movie on Netflix. And Victor Santos basically did it almost like a web comic. And then he actually deconstructed the whole thing down and rebuilt it up into a better graphic novel. And I think it takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of balls, for lack of a better word, sometimes to say, look, I have to deconstruct what I did, where I had a concept of something that was good. People liked it, but it was also early on in my career, or I just didn't hit it on the head. And you said you sucked, but sometimes it's not even so much that you sucked. It's just that maybe, you weren't ready for it, or it's the first one out. And naturally there's going to be, if this is your first comic writing, you're not going to be the best you're ever going to be at it. And so what is
Oh,
this
sure.
like for you? Because most people, and I think a lot of comic creators, have a really hard time saying, man, I didn't do a good job there. And they don't want to acknowledge it. But here you are making it better and fixing those mistakes, reworking the
Yeah.
dialogue, smoothing things out,
Yeah.
updating things that need to be updated.
Yeah.
And that's where this gets really interesting, because I think it's very, I don't know even the right words, but I find it to be super fascinating, because I'll be very honest, there are interviews that I have done 9, 10 years ago that, boy, would I love to remaster
Sure.
in so many ways. And some of them I can, and some of them I can't,
Yeah.
because fortunately people have passed away from my early days, which sucks.
Sure.
But anyway,
Yeah.
it's not about me, it's about you.
It's really interesting. I mean, I did this already once with Critter, because in 2020 was the 10-year anniversary of Critter. So we did this already with that book. But when I went in and remastered Critter, there was way, way less issues for me as far as like fixing what needs to be fixed. I mean, there was some general grammar stuff, but I was overall pretty happy with just the dialogue as it existed. But with Penny for Your Soul, I think what happened was that I had an idea, sort of like when I had the idea for Critter, but rather than sort of really take the time to really understand what the hell I was doing, I kind of just started writing on the fly, because Critter was being done at the time, but it was going really slow. And I didn't really have deadlines because I wasn't doing comics at the time. This was all new to me. So I was just like, well, I'll just start this other book while Critter is being done. And so I just started writing and writing and writing and writing. And it's almost like, what do they call it when it's a stream of consciousness, right? This book is almost stream of consciousness. Like, I just started with the first word, and when I got to the last word of the first issue, it's just this stream of consciousness arc where I'm just bouncing through these ideas and these pop culture nostalgia grabs that I'm trying for. Some worked and some didn't. And you know, and then I got to issue 2, and I basically did it again. Like, here's a stream of consciousness. Like, okay, now we're going to do this, and we're going to introduce this character for whatever reason, and you know, and on and on and on and on. So as the book goes along, it does get better because the world has continued to grow. So by the time I get to like issue 6 and 7, I kind of have a real world to play with at that point. But the beginning of it was so strangely paced I mean, I sit there and I'm going through it, and I'm like, oh my God, I would have done this, and I would have done this, and I would have changed that. But I'm not going in here and doing a George Lucas makeover for like the whole thing. You know, the basic story is staying the same, all the art's staying the same, but I can make these characters sound better now. And I can, in some cases I was writing way too much, just like vomiting on the page, just like, I just want so much information right here. It's like, oh my God, I can chop this down. There's so much better ways to do this. So it's a humbling experience to fix what you did. But again, the other part of it is that the fans responded to it. I mean, they loved, at minimum, they loved the idea of it. They loved the characters, and they loved what the characters were doing, even if they didn't necessarily think that, you know, the writing itself is great. But I've also never had anybody say, yeah, I know your writing sucks, dude. That never happened either. So I never really had in my brain like, yo, slow down, pay attention.
So let's actually talk about this, because this actually brings up a really cool point where, and you've read things where you're like, the writing was okay, but that concept was brilliant in certain ways. And
Sure.
I've bought comic books, I've bought movies, I've watched movies, I've read books. So I'm like, this isn't written the best, but the concept is awesome.
Sure. Yeah.
And I read a book called 0 Year. It's about how, you know, Earth is like the music masters, but we're too stupid to actually monetize that. But the rest of the galaxy is monetizing it. The concept of the book was great. It was written average, maybe a little bit above average, but I thoroughly enjoyed the book.
Sure.
And that's what it seems like with Penny for Your Soul. And what I've read of Penny for Your Soul, I love the concept too, where you got this battle going on and somebody wants in on the action and they got their own motives. And it's a really great concept because it's fun. And maybe I read it a little bit differently, where I kind of thought that somebody was playing heaven and hell a little bit. And, that's how I read it. And obviously I'm not like, openly, I like religion. I like the concept of religion.
Yeah. Theology is always interesting.
And so that's how I thought it was super interesting, where you now have a third force in there.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe somebody else read it differently. Maybe somebody else just liked how the wittiness of it and all that.
Yeah, that I think is what saved it. Honestly, I think that the weird characterizations saved it. I think the weird sort of pseudo pop culture references saved it. I think just the outlandishness saved it. In the very first issue, we have Mary Magdalene writing on a electronic bowl. Like, who does that, right? So there's a lot of really strange stuff in this book, all the way through all 7 issues, and I think that's ultimately what saved it. Is just the pure outlandishness of what we did is what saved the book. And now here I am, 13 years later. I get to go back in and sort of give it the polish that it never had. And I'm hoping that I don't over polish, right? And wear it down to where it's not sharp anymore. And I don't think I'm doing that, because I'm not changing the story at all. So Mary is still on the bowl and doing all that kind of stuff. We still have the nun who's putting dollar bills in the strippers, and all that's still there. But I think that the reading experience is going to be better with these dialogue modifications.
Yeah,
I think it's going to flow on the page better. I think everything's just going to feel better. Ultimately, if it doesn't, then you guys are just going to have to go find one of the original copies on eBay and get that original experience that we all had 13 years ago.
So you bring up a really cool point here too, is the idea that you can over polish it.
Yeah,
and that
I think so.
Ruin it. And I'm not saying you're going to do it, and I don't think you are, but there is that tricky position where you're trying to make something. Obviously, you want to clean it up a bit, you want to make it better, and you want to give it its proper treatment, because everything is there and the core is there, and you're just putting on, new siding on a house is a good way to put
exactly.
it.
Like the guy that you talked about who went back to his original thing and like deconstructed it and rebuilt it. Like, I would never do that, because we would have a different story at that point. The basic concepts would still exist, but the characters would not be the same. They wouldn't have the same experiences. I would never do that. I would never want to do that. That's kind of one of the things that people hated about George Lucas going in and doing the little modifications that he did to things. Like, I would never do that, but I am fully prepared to go in and just say, look, guys, this dialogue is terrible. Let me fix it. It's still going to be, the intent is still going to be there. But it's going to be way, way stronger, and at least hopefully, and then we'll have a book that I can actually legitimately be proud of, for what it is, versus just sort of like hey, we survived this monstrosity in year 1 somehow, and now here we are 13 years later. It would no longer be a survival story. It'll be this is a good book now. And everybody should be able to really still get a laugh out of it, because there's definitely things to laugh at in here, but it won't be quite as painful for some of the things that you're laughing at.
Yeah, and then to even go further into the other side of this too, I mean, obviously we are in a different age where I think.
Oh my God! Yes.
You didn't even let me finish the rest of that statement, and I love how you just answered right off the bat, because it could have got 15 directions. I could have said we're in a worse age, we're in a better age. I could have got any which way. But as I was going to take a much tamer. I can't even speak. Oh man, brilliant. So I was going to say we're in a different age as far as being able to do something like this.
Sure.
As far as the monetary side of it.
Yeah.
Not so much even the writing side of it. That's a whole different can of worms. But what is this like? Because I think 5 years ago, to even attempt to do a remaster would have been harder. I feel like the indie community wasn't there. I feel like Kickstarter wasn't where it needed to be. And there's been a real revolution that it's actually possible to raise funds to do this,
Yeah.
get it out there, actually have people interested. Social media is more prevalent than ever.
Yeah.
Obviously, COVID era has affected that. And so, what is that like for you too? Because obviously, a lot of things have aligned to allow this to happen.
Sure.
5-6 years ago, this would be a hell of a lot harder, I feel. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's
5 years ago, we did Penny for Your Soul. It was what launched us on Kickstarter. But it wasn't this. It was a brand new volume. We just were like, okay, fuck it. Volume 4, we're going to put it on Kickstarter, and we're just going to run it issues 1 through 7. We had tinkered with Kickstarter a little bit prior, but this was like, okay, we're going to take a shot at Kickstarter, like a real attempt here. And it went over tremendously. Every issue, all the 7 got better and better and better and better all the way to the end. So just like we kind of came in out of the blue with Penny for Your Soul in the general market, we did the same thing with Kickstarter. We were just like, look, here we are. This is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. Everybody get on board. And people got on board. So now here we are 5-6 years later, whatever it is. And we're coming back into Penny for Your Soul with a remaster. I think that having done Pestilence 5 years ago made this possible. Now, that's not to say we couldn't do this 5 years ago, but I don't think it would have had the impact 5 years ago because we kind of had to rebuild the brand to make it doable. And now here we are 5 years. Well, now we're here about 3 years after we did the last Penny for Your Soul issue, and we're coming back to it and saying, look, it's what you have, but we're going to do it. We're going to modify it, whatever. Clearly the fans are like, fuck yes, because holy shit, it's the biggest first day in the history of anything Big Dog Inc. That includes the Critter hardcover that we did a couple of years ago. We're on day 4. We've unlocked 4 stretch goals, almost 5. I'm going to do an update here. 22,581 on as we start day 4, which means we're $419 away from the next stretch goal. I mean, this is madness. And it's spectacular madness because one of the best parts about this campaign is that it's not just a whole bunch of variant covers. There's a few variant covers, but it's not like here's 10 variant covers of the same issue, right? So people are actually legitimately coming in here and buying trade paperbacks, hardcovers. Now there's some collectability element to that, certainly. But when you're buying a trade paperback, a big collected story, theoretically, you're buying it because you want to read it. And that is the huge element to this. It's like, fuck me, these people want to read this book, man. And as a writer, I'm like, dude, I can't ask for more than that.
Let's actually talk about that too, because this is what's interesting is that there's right now, I think, 2 sides to comics. And feel free to correct me at any point. There's the collectability side to comics where there's variants or low print runs, or you're looking to pick up a first issue of something because it's going to get optioned and you're going to sell it and it has value. I think that's one side of it. Or somebody says, hey, look, I'm a collector and I just want a bunch of rare books because this is what gives me enjoyment. And they don't want to read it. But then there's the reading side of things. And that doesn't mean you can't be both. You can be both. You can be neither. You can be whatever you want to be. That's not, it's not a judgment thing here. But this is definitely, I think, more reader friendly and more of the idea of saying, look, I want to read these stories. And look, obviously, if you have a 200 hardcover book, there's some collectability, some rarity to that. But it's a trade paperback or a hardcover book. And so what is that like for you? Because this is not typically what I think Big Dog Inc. does on a lot of, your Kickstarters. You offer a lot of exclusivity and things of that nature. And this is kind of, I don't want to say it's the anti that, but it's also a step, I guess, to the side of that. For lack of a better
it's tangential for sure, because we still have trade paperback variant covers and stuff. So that still exists. But I definitely have a sense that, the key element here is that people are, and I mean, I can look at my analytics and just say like, look how many people are buying the trade paperback versus how many people are buying like the variant, or sorry, how many people are buying the hardcover versus how many people are buying the trade paperback versus how many people are buying like the single issue versus. So this is really cool to have people sort of coming into a campaign that is not new. There is no new material here, none whatsoever. The book itself is the same as we've always had. Yes, it's going to have full cover galleries and character designs and things like that, which, by the way, the original trade paperback did not have. So it is going to have that sort of extended content, but there's no new story content here. It's just modified, remastered content. So I think it's great that we're seeing people come out of the woodwork and be like, yeah, man, I want to read this book. I want to see what he's doing with this thing. And I'm not worried about the variant concept. I'm just going to buy the trade paperback. Like that's here it is. I'm done. Cool. I'm in, I'm out, I'm done. So yeah, no, it's great as a writer to be able to see people really buying that. And we do sell digital copies as well, which again, those are readers, obviously, because you don't collect digital stuff. And even when we do our single issues, we get a ton of people that buy just like the regular reader copies. Like when we just did Princess versus Zombies that I just shipped out, holy God, did we sell a lot of just the single one issue. And what we do is called the quick catch up. So the quick catch up was like the zero issue, the issue 1, and then the new issue. So it's like 3 reader copies. Sold a ton of those. And those are guys who are just there for readers. So I'm definitely, in the context of Big Dog Ink stuff, I am definitely seeing an influx of people who are buying to read. That doesn't mean there aren't plenty of collectors that buy the variants, because there are. But I'm definitely seeing more and more people coming in to just read the book. And that's fine. And that's great. And hopefully they like it when they get it.
Let's even go into this also trade paperback, because you said it hasn't been in print for almost over 6 years.
Yeah.
And that's a big issue. And obviously, I think, obviously you can find that on eBay. Maybe, sometimes fair enough. I like to stay positive on this show. I like to stay positive.
The problem is that if you find it, it's usually about $100, unless it's like a trash
positive
copy.
Here. Yeah, we're trying to stay positive, okay? Positive vibes today, Tom.
Yeah.
It's not cynical Tom time. I'll give you plenty of time for that.
Go find it on eBay. You can find it on eBay.
But
you're probably going to want it, honestly, anyway, just because you're going to want to be able to compare the two and be like, oh, thank God Tom fixed all this shit.
But even still, the idea is that now this is becoming accessible. So if you like this and you like a lot of Big Dog Ink stuff, and something is not accessible to get it, and now it is accessible, I mean, that's also the biggest thing, I feel, because I'll be very honest about certain things. Sometimes in life, I want something, and it's not a money problem. It's that I can't find it.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm willing to spend on certain things $200-$300 in a heartbeat without even thinking, but I can't find it. And this is the issue. It's one of the biggest problems I think sometimes happens in everything in life. It's not just comics. And so what is this like? Because you're providing a solution. You say you're not creating anything new, but you're solving a massive problem.
Yeah, that's also very true. Because we've been selling these books now, because I still have Volume 2, Joan of Arc, Volume 3. And then like when we did Penny for Your Soul, Pestilence, Volume 4, we didn't have Volume 1 to sell. So we had to essentially sell it digitally. And we were able to do that, but that's never ideal. And we talk about
the best. It's not the best selling point.
Exactly. Right. It's one thing to just offer it digitally because somebody wants it digitally. But when people want the books, they really don't want the digital Volume 1. They deal with it, and we did sell it that way. And they were like, okay, well, if this is the only way I can get it, then I'll take it. But now we definitely have sort of the ability to start again with this book and be like, look, you can start right here, issue 1, Volume 1. You don't have to buy anything else. You can just start right here and jump in. Or if you want the whole thing, kablam, here's the whole thing. All physical books. So that definitely feels good, because I'm a physical book collector, and I know when I go to Comic Cons and stuff, those guys aren't there for digital stuff. They want the book, man. And so I'm excited to get these back in print. I'm really hoping to have these before I go to my cons in June, because it would be really great. But for me, it's great. I want to put it on the table. I want people to see it. And I think for the fans, particularly at cons, it just makes things easier and like you said, more accessible. And accessibility is everything when you're talking about, things like this, reading material, stuff like that. If people can't find it, they might not even bother buying anything else until they can buy the first one. In which case they're just sitting around waiting, and then they might forget that it even exists.
Yeah, and also look, I mean, the way I view it is that money is like water. It will find the easiest path to go where it wants to be deployed. So you go to a Comic-Con, and I don't know about anybody else, but I pay for everything in cash when I go to a Comic-Con. So if I have $1,000, my $1,000 wants to go places and it wants to buy things. And it says, Daddy, what are we buying today?
Yeah.
And, because it's accounted for and it's budgeted for. So if I'm going to a con in June, I start saving up for that in July.
Sure.
And there's a natural progression. So I don't feel guilty about, spending $1,000. The charge card goes away and my cash comes out.
Sure.
And so now if you don't have volume 1 for me, it's like I want to buy a lot of stuff at your table, but I might not even look at that series.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, what we did was because we had all the other volumes. So we would just offer it like, look, you're going to buy these other volumes and you're going to take those home with you. And what we're going to do is just throw in the digital copy for you. We didn't even charge them for the digital copy because it's like, look, you're buying all this other stuff. We're just going to give you the digital copy. And that was usually enough for them to be like, oh, well, that's cool. Because again, like you just said, we can go find number 1 on eBay or something like that and try and find it. And I was also telling people all of last year, like, we don't have it now, but we're going to be on Kickstarter next year because I knew we were going to do it. And so even if you don't get on the Kickstarter, when I see you next year at the con, we'll have a physical copy for you to get. And again, that was one of those things where like their eyes opened up and they were like, oh, well, that's cool. I can deal with that. And so now I'm kind of, again, I'm looking forward to getting back to these cons where I was talking about these books to people, and then seeing what the result is. Cause I'm kind of fingers crossed. Like I want to see a rush, hey, did you get that book? Did you get that book? Yes, here it is. Boom. Give me $20.
Yeah. So what is this like? Because obviously there are people who have 2 through 5, I think, because there's been 5 volumes, right?
There's been technically 5 volumes. Yeah. There's
or 4
volumes.
Yeah.
Well, there's 4 volumes of Penny for Your Soul itself. And then there's the one Joan of Arc spinoff. And they all work together. So there's technically 5 volumes. Yeah.
And so there's people who have the other 4 volumes, and then now this is like completing their collection.
Yeah.
And so what is that like? Because you're clearly, because the people, and I don't know about anybody else, but I obviously don't have a bookshelf, but I used to have a bunch of bookshelves when I moved and lived in DC, and I love hanging and displaying my books.
Yeah.
I wake up, I go out, I wake up before I was going right out, I would see all my books, and I love it. And I'm not the only one who feels comfortable like that. And so what is this like also? Because now you're also completing people's collections.
Yeah.
And you're not going to make just some of those people, those 4 other volumes sales, but you're also going to be getting that book and completing their collection. And then it's fun. And then also there's going to be people who are like, you got 5 volumes of this shit? Yeah. Oh, snap. And then there's going to be this weird effect saying you're legit. Because that's a big issue. That's a big issue in everything now, let alone comics.
Well, we have 3 series now with 5 volumes at least. Oz has 6 volumes now. So we have 3 series with 5 volumes. We have Ursa Minor now has 3 volumes. So we have a lot of stuff on the table. And
you get where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's very legitimate that people come in and they're like, holy crap, there's like a lot here. And sometimes that can be a turnoff because, it's like they look at it as, oh shit, I got to spend like $75 to get all this. But other people, and for the most part, when they see that there's that much, that like you said, it triggers a legitimacy in their head, and they're like, okay, well, go ahead, hook me up, get me all of this, because if this exists and you've been doing this for now 13 years, this is relevant, and I need to know about it. So I think with the issue with this volume 1, you're filling in the gap for the people that don't have it. You are modifying it for the people that do have it, so they can get a new experience. And you're now being able to show the complete display, at Comic-Con, and people can get even more excited about it. So there's a lot of layers to doing this, and I'm excited to, like I said, we'll see how it really plays out once we start doing cons in the summer. But I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and then let's even talk about legitimacy, because I hate to say this, but I've been speaking to a lot of people who are quote unquote, veterans in this space, and I think it's safe to say that. And you might have even spoken about this. I don't know if we did, so remind me if we did. And this is sounding familiar, but a lot of people, I think, during the COVID era, said, I want to create a comic book. And then they created an issue or maybe 2 issues, and they realized that it's difficult to do it. It's expensive to do it. It's stressful to do it. It's not easy. And they funded on Kickstarter. They might have lost some money, but then they did, an issue or 2 issues, and they're done, and they're happy to be done. Or they want to do 1 a year, and they don't want to do it as a career. And there's people who have now said, I want to do this as a career. I want to do this as a business, and I'm all in, or I have a 9 to 5 and this is my second job.
Sure.
And that, and so it's been very weird in that way. And it raises a lot of questions about legitimacy. Also, what's happened, and this is just my take, is that people have fallen onto rough times. Things are delayed. And I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of June, July deliveries, because I think people are going to get their tax returns and use that money to finish off their books and get it to their backers. And so this raises questions in my mind and how I'm functioning and what I'm waiting for with certain people of legitimacy. And, when somebody has, 13, 14, 15 volumes of materials, countless single issues, and a variety of other things, that I think helps to calm people down and say, cool, this person isn't going to leave me high and dry after, I pick up this thing. Is there going to be more of this? Yeah. And, I'll be very honest. I have this problem with television shows, and I'm a big anime watcher, and I like really watching big series like Naruto or One Piece or Dragon Ball Z or Pokemon, because I know there's so much content of it that if I get invested in a character after 26 episodes, they're not going to just leave me. And I don't feel like I just wasted 6 months and then the character's never coming back. And so I don't know if that sounds weird or whatnot, but I think it's a real issue.
There's variation to that, because like you don't have to have, for example, 100 issues of a book to be legitimate, right? You could have 100 issues spread across 5 different titles, right? Like if you did 4 issues, I don't know what the math is, 40 issues of 5 different, I don't know, whatever the math is, you know what I'm saying? Like
20,
it's not 20 issues of, that's what we're trying to get to. 20 issues of like 5 different titles. Like if those are just self-contained, like we did 20 issues and we're done, 20 issues and we're done, 20 issues and we're done. You can create legitimacy just through continuing to create. But yeah, anytime you can say, there's 5 volumes of this book, and we're still going, volume 6 is underway, that keeps people interested and engaged constantly, for sure. 100%. It's wild when I sat down and started to kind of think about like how many issues exist for Penny for Your Soul. And I don't mean like single issues. I mean like print run. And I started to do the math, and I was like, holy shit, we have like over 100,000 issues in print.
Yeah, let's talk about that too. What is that like? Because that's like a holy shit moment, because I don't know. And I don't know the answer to this. Obviously DC, Marvel, Image have printed millions upon millions upon millions. But then you go to places like Dark Horse has probably printed millions, but I wonder how many copies and how many books Aftershock has printed, to be quite honest. I wonder how many, Titan has actually printed. And then, you go down the line And, I think there's real questions where, and that's just, obviously on one of your titles is 100,000 plus issues. And Big Dog Inc. isn't, DC Comics. No offense. I'm sorry to break it to you, Tom. But
better,
it's a lot.
Better.
I'm very apologetic. I wish you were bigger. But I wish I could say you were bigger. I'm sorry. It's just,
I don't need to be bigger. I just need to be better. That's it. and eventually it'll just work itself out, and we'll get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Tom, you're setting the bar already low enough. The way DC Comics, Marvel, and parts of Image are functioning is not great. It's not great.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, at the same time, I'm not like putting out an issue every month either. They're putting out 50 issues a month and so on. It's like, I'm over here like doing a quarterly Kickstarter. So,
but even still, 100,000 plus issues for this series is ludicrous for 13 years in a lot of ways. And, I'm not saying ludicrous bad. I'm just saying that's a hell of a lot of print runs.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. When I sat down to think about it, I was like, damn, that is a lot, man. Considering I've never been, I've never been approached by any of the like CBR or Newsarama or Bleed. Like those people don't talk about me. Everything that we've done really has been just grassroots. It's all been people finding us at cons, people finding us when we were in stores, just people finding us in stores. Talking on shows like this, and now social media over the past, 5 or 6 years. It's all been grassroots. Every bit of it has been grassroots. Even my connection with Dynamite, to be able to work with Dynamite, that just came from, I knew somebody who knew somebody, and I reached out, and at that point I was able to show them like, look, yeah, I don't work for Marvel or DC or anything, but this is what I've done on my own. And if I can manage this on my own, I can probably bring some value to you, particularly with a character like Bad Kitty, that has basically been ignored for years and years and years. Give me that opportunity to take something that's dormant and make something out of it. And Dynamite was like, yeah, let's go. So, even there, all these people are like, well, I want to break into Marvel and DC, whatever. I was like, oh, fuck that. I don't want any part of that. I understand why they want to be there. There's a legacy element to it, to say like, hey, I wrote Spider-Man. Like, that's cool. And then there's the extended part of it where you can tell people I wrote Spider-Man. That then opens doors in other places. So I get it 100%.
I view it very similar to why wrestlers want to go to NXT. There's two reasons why wrestlers want to go to NXT. Some people want to go into WWE, and they're on the indies, and they want to end their career in WWE because that's been their dream for years, since they were a little kid and they're an indie wrestler, and that's what they want to do. Other people want to go to NXT. And what they say to themselves is, look, I'm going to be trained there, sign a 3-year contract, be trained by some of the best. I'm not going to have to travel around the country. And then the second I get out of NXT or I get cut, my indie rate goes up per show. Mm-hmm. Where if I'm making $900 a show, now I'm making $1,200. And now I'm an attraction. And now I'm a better wrestler, and I'm making more money, and more doors open. And that's what I think why a lot of people want to write for Marvel.
100%.
They don't want to stay there forever. They don't necessarily even care about writing Spider-Man. It's the idea that
they want it on the resume. Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I get it. I there are things that I would do for Marvel, but it's nothing that they would want to publish in their brains.
DC doesn't want to hire me. DC doesn't want to hire me for Teen Titans West.
Well, no one. DC doesn't want to do anything but Batman. And Marvel doesn't want to do any. I don't know what Marvel's doing, but there's lots of little fun, just like with Dynamite and Bad Kitty. There's a lot of little fun B and C list characters in Marvel and DC that I'd be like, look, just let me run with this. Let me do a mini series with this, and if it works, great. And if it doesn't, what are you out, really? I mean, nothing. I'm not going to damage the brand, or I'm not going to, hold back your gigantic Infinity Crisis event with what I want to do. So There are things that I would do that I think would be fun. But if I were to get like the offer of like, hey, we want you to write like Wonder Woman, like I wouldn't even know what to do. Honestly, I wouldn't know what to do. And I'm a huge fan of the character. That's one of the things that I got in with comics. I've collected Wonder Woman forever, but I don't know how you take a character that's like 75 plus years old and do anything to it that is relevant
I mean,
without doing supreme modifications to it. And if you modify it, in my brain, if you modify it, it's no longer what it was. So unless your modification has organic implications to move it forward, rather than dipshit guy who gave her golden guns, what a goddamn, what a dumbass. You know, that stuff just doesn't mean anything to me.
I'll be very honest with you. So I got into Wonder Woman in probably one of the weirdest ways. I got in when DC combined the movies with the graphic novels in the same package, and they were selling them in Best Buy, and the Best Buy was legitimately a block and a half away from my apartment when I lived in DC. And so every Sunday I would go, they would have a bunch of them, and I would watch the movie, and then I'd read the graphic novel.
Yeah.
And what was the graphic novel with Wonder Woman? It was George Perez's Wonder Woman.
Of course it was.
And it was epic. It was great. It was great. The movie was great. It was Blu-ray and a DVD. It was like $30. Like, how could you possibly go wrong, right? And so, brilliant, epic. I read Death of Superman the same way. Best $30 I've ever spent Wonder Woman on, ever. The point is that I agree. I don't think you can modify her anymore, and I don't even know what the hell you can do. I mean,
well, and even George modified her out of, well, and they modified her in the 70s and 80s, kind of out of the Stars and Stripes version. But George modified her even further to where all of her red, white, and blue stuff wasn't America anymore. It was based on this pilot that crash landed. That's a whole story. I won't spoil it for people that want to write it. But he actually redid all of her stuff to represent something else. But it still worked. And particularly it worked because a lot of her, you know, red, white, and blue was eliminated in the 70s and 80s to be something else. But, you know, a lot of that stuff sort of is organic modifications. And nowadays nothing's organic. Now everything is just, we have some sort of agenda to do, and we're going to use X character to do it. And the fans see that stuff. They recognize it. And that's the advantage I think that indies have, which is that we're just coming in and telling stories with our own characters in whatever way that we want to do it. And the fans are basically just there to see what we're doing because there's no modification being done. I'm not going in to Critter number 27 and saying like, oh, well, now she's going to represent something else. Like, no, it's just, you get an organic story, growth of character. And that's what a lot of writing in Marvel and DC stuff has just disappeared because everything's and it's not necessarily the fault of the creators. A lot of it is just, this is what these characters are. This is what they have to be a part of as far as like the DC Marvel universe, all of the licensing that goes along with it. So all you can really do is kind of tell a story and then start over and tell a story and start over and tell a story and start over. There's really no organic push anymore. There's no Wonder Woman, 829. It's we're rebooting this again. We're rebooting this again so that we can do whatever it is we're doing. And that's the advantage to indie stuff, is that we don't have 75 years of history to have to worry about, well, has she run out of steam or anything? No, it's like, I've been doing this for 13 years. All of my characters are still fresh and evolving through everything that I do. So all of the fans that read Big Dog Ink books, every time they get a new issue, it's just organic storytelling, pushing the story and the worlds and the characters forward.
Yeah, no, I think it's very, very, very important to recognize that what even Marvel and DC are, and even what Image is, and even what Dark Horse is to some degree. I mean, they're IP farms. That's what they are right now. And I hate to say it, they're licensing farms, and there's nothing wrong with that business model. But it also definitely, changes the way that things are written and done.
Well, fans see it. Fans feel it. They're not stupid. we know if someone's coming in here with a legitimate, like, I want to do this idea, and versus a, hey, you know what, this would probably make a great movie. Let's make a comic so that we can pitch it to Hollywood. Like, people know it's too obvious. Which and that's a shame, and that's a detriment to the industry. But it's been like that for decades, and it's a detriment to the industry. But at the same time, it's this weird circular thing, catch-22. Like, we're not making enough money, so we're going to do this to sell it to Hollywood, so that we can make enough money off of selling it to Hollywood, so that we can make a thing. But we're not making enough money on comics, so we sell it to Hollywood. It's this terrible circle. But because they keep making stuff for Hollywood, the fans are like, well, I don't care about whatever it is that you're making, or they care about it for a small portion of time. And then that, whatever that IP is, goes away, generally speaking.
I could tell you right now, the only thing I'm reading from DC is Justice League Ruby, RWBY. And the only reason why I'm reading it is because I'm an RWBY fan, Ruby fan. That's the only reason why. I don't care about it. It's not canon. I think it's going to be enjoyable. Do I think it's going to have any merit in the long run? Of course not. It's not canon, but it's going to be fun. And I'm going to enjoy it, and it's going to be great. And I know
that's what comics need to be. They gotta focus on, okay, what is this comic? Fun. That's first. That's always first. If it's not first, you're doing it wrong. Start over and reimagine what you're doing to start with. Let's make a fun story. If you're not starting with that, you're already wrong. So that's where I come out with all the Big Dog Ink stuff. And that's not to say, when I say fun, that doesn't mean like everything's just happy, good endings, happy end. Like, no. But when you're done with a Big Dog Ink book, you should have had a fun ride, some sort of a roller coaster up and down. Oh my God, look what's happening. Okay, we're safe now.
Oh, man.
And when you're done, you should be happy and you should want the next one versus whatever is happening at Marvel and DC, because nobody comes in after the first one and goes, give me number 2.
Well, I'll be very honest. I don't read fun stories, but I read amazing stories. I read all these military stories. And I think it's 4 Paws something. I forget the last word in the title, but it was all about animals in war and how they have legitimately saved millions and millions of lives, and how so many soldiers across the entire world owe animals their lives. Brilliant book, and I want a sequel. And it's a very heroic story. So I don't know. It's fun to the
but you can still have fun. You can have fun with horror stories. It doesn't matter what it is.
Horrific.
At the end of the day,
heroic, not a horror story.
No, but I'm saying horror stories can be fun too. Fun is not. Again, it's not feel good. Fun is not feel good. Fun is enjoying the ride of whatever the ride is. So even if you're going to cheer for Freddy Krueger, you're going to have fun in your horror story. You know what I mean? But as soon as that becomes something that isn't designed to be fun, as soon as Freddy Krueger is there to sell something, regardless of what it is, the fans will be like, bullshit, Klaus, and they'll reject it. And that's what we see in a lot of pop culture stuff now.
Yes. I agree. I completely agree. But all I'm saying is that I loved it and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And again, I think this is the problem. I think we got to make comics fun again. I think that's what we have to do. I think if you make something fun and make it enjoyable, you'll sell.
Yes.
Because who doesn't want to have a good time? Like, there's certain things that I watch that relax me. I'm a huge South Park fan. Every time I watch South Park, I'm never, ever miserable. If I'm in a bad mood, I watch South Park or I watch a clip from South Park, it cheers me up because they're making fun of something. They're selling enjoyment. I mean, I make this argument why people gave me so much shit for investing in WWE. I'm like, they sell fun. And that's the problem, is that they're a company that sells fun. Monday Night Raw is fun. And that's the problem. That's the product they're selling. They're not selling wrestling. They're selling fun.
Yeah,
they're selling entertainment. They're selling
exactly 100%. You're selling entertainment. Yes, that's correct.
And that's the point. And that's what you're doing too, which is great. And I just want to make it crystal clear. If DC's listening, it's okay if they don't want to hire Tom, but if you want to hire me to write Teen Titans West on Black Label, I will do it for free. I will do it for free. I got 6 issues planned. It's going to be amazing. They're going to be out in California, and I have the opening scene. Starfire popping out of the water in a bikini. I'm going to sell millions of this book from panel 1. I'm just saying, if they're listening, I'm your boy. But anyway, I digress. I don't have a story beyond that, guys. I have no story beyond that. But I think I could sell millions. But I didn't say how. I didn't say how
Because you're gonna buy them all.
Gotta keep that part a secret. but I do want to actually talk about your rewards a little bit, because they're also interesting in a lot of ways. And this is the part that I like, because I have pictures, and pictures are fun. And so I know you have, the pinup book for, the Soul, Penny for Your Soul, Showgirls. I know you have that. I know you have the digital, remaster. And then I think you have some cool stuff of Temptation of Mary Magdalene. And that's a prequel. I think this is this one, right?
Yeah, we actually just posted the colors today. This was something that we added on late, and that's why we didn't have the colors in time, because I realized as I was making the campaign that one shot, that prequel book, was never reprinted. It was never put into a trade paperback. It was never reprinted in any way, and it's really hard to find. So I was like, okay, let's just do a limited run on those. So yeah, Temptation of Mary Magdalene is a prequel story to War, and it's basically what it is. It's Lucifer versus Mary, and that cover is sort of a tribute / homage to JB Neto's original cover that he did, God, I don't know, 11 years ago, 12 years ago when we did that book. But it's done by Narciso Sousa. And again, the colors just got put up today. So if you guys go to the campaign, you'll be able to see the colors. They came out really good. Alenia Di Napoli did those. So yeah, that's a little bonus side book there.
And then to get into the meat of things, obviously you got the Showgirls book. You also have this stuff all digital for the Heart, I guess Penny for Your Soul Volume 1 remastered. But then you have this bad boy. And I don't know who his first interview was, but that guy did a hell of a good job interviewing Keith Garvey. And I feel very angelic on this one.
Yeah, Keith has become a Big Dog Inc. staple. This is an unbelievable image. So this is going to be a wraparound cover, guys. This is just a pure image as well. It doesn't have the like it'll say on there, Penny for Your Soul, Volume 1, War, all that kind of stuff. So you'll have some lettering on it, just like you would on a regular hardcover. But it is a wraparound cover, just like we did with Critter. So if you have the Critter book, it'll be similar to that. And then of course he did the Dust Jacket edition right there with the patch art where we have the Fallen Angel on the Dust Jacket. So there's only 200 total hardcovers, and then 100 of them get that Dust Jacket, and we're already sold well past the halfway point on the Dust Jacket editions. So if you do not have one, I can almost guarantee you there won't be any left over when the campaign is done. And then we're only on day 4, guys, and we've already sold half of those, so they're not going to survive.
And then we got this bad boy by the Australian sensation Mike Chrome.
Yep. So that'll be on the trade paperback wraparound, and we're doing 100 of those as well.
So that's out there, and that's pretty cool. And then this is just the as soon as it loads up, there we go.
So that's your basic cover for the big print run of the trade paperback. That is JB Neto. He is the series artist. He started with me 13 plus years ago. And so JB did again, sort of a tribute homage to himself. So the very first cover of Penny for Your Soul, which is right here. Dun, dun, dun. That's the first cover. And so he did a little tribute homage to himself. And Gat Melvin came in, did the colors, came out spectacular. I love it. It's JB's modern art. It's a different coloring style, but all of the tone of it, all the oranges and everything, like it's 100% penny for your soul. I mean, it's fantastic. Love it, love it, love it.
And then we get into some collectability here, which is my favorite item from you. And it's the Marissa Pope, Big Dog Ink mystery box. Pretty cool. I think it's 8 or 9 books, I want to say. I think.
Yeah, you get 10 books total. So there's 8 of them will be random Big Dog Ink variant covers from 8 different titles. So it's a great, it's a mystery box, but it's also a great starter pack. So if you're just not familiar with Big Dog Ink, you'll get 8 different titles in there with 8 different books. And then there'll be a 9th book is a sort of an ultra rare. It'll be a foil or a metal or an artist edition, something that's like 50 copies or less, something like that. And then the 10th book is that Marissa Pope Dancing Angel. That's the second of her TikTok series. You can see all the little TikTok icons and stuff. She did one for Ursa Minor. It is sold out. It's gone. This one is already 50% gone as well. So yeah, those have been very, very popular.
And just to give some math here, I think it's $85 for the entire box.
$85. That includes shipping as well. Everything that you see there includes shipping. So it's not like $75 for the hardcover plus shipping. It's just, that's it. It's includes your shipping.
And so the reason why I bring this up for those who, I'm going to say dirty words, but I really don't care. Your cost basis is $8.50 a book.
Yeah.
And so that's something just to keep in mind, that even if you already have something in here, and you're looking to flip it, or you're looking saying, hey, look, how much is each of these books going to cost me? Just so you get an idea, it's $8.50 on average per book for cost basis. So,
and you're guaranteed a foil or a metal. I mean, that you could flip the foil or the metal and get half of your price back instantly. And then somebody today just pledged for one, and he had pledged for the Ursa Minor one. And I was like, we're going to work really hard to try and make sure that we don't have too much overlap from what we did for Ursa and this, but it is possible you might get one because that's just feasible. But what he said, he was like, yeah, if I get a duplicate, man, I'll just pass it on to a friend and, help spread the brand. And I was like, dude, that's 100% the accurate response. So, yeah.
I mean, look, I got one for Ursula Minor. I'm going to get one here. And if I get a duplicate, who knows what I'm going to do with it. But obviously, it'll be somewhere. I got no problem saying it. I got no problem saying it. Exactly.
It'll move along one way or another.
And the point is that it's extremely low risk. And also the fact that I guarantee you that Marissa Pope TikTok stuff is going to do all right.
Well, yeah, there's only 50 of those as well. So whereas a lot of our variants are like 150, 200 copies, there's only 50 of those boxes. So you get 50. The Marissa Pope will be numbered as well. So it'll have a serial number on the back, 1 out of 50, 2 out of 50. And then the magnet, the Microchrome magnet, we're only making 50 of those. So that goes into the box as an exclusive as well.
Yes. Yeah. I'm in it for the magnet, guys. I want to make.
Of course you are. Clear. Of course you are.
How I roll. The rest is going right into the trash. Right into the trash. So there's going to only be 49 of the Marissa Popes left. No, I'm actually going to probably keep the Marissa Pope for myself. Anyway, not the point. There's this one too, which is pretty cool, which is Marissa Pope, but without the TikTok stuff.
Right. So that's the only way to get it by itself. And we do that because a lot of Big Dog Ink fans have these books already. So we don't want to just force them to buy the same book. But this is only available as a holofoil. It's not available as just like a regular book, but there is a holofoil edition available just by itself. And the holofoils, like we do on everything else, are printed to order. So if we get orders for 27, we're making 27. Well, we're gonna make a few more because Mercer will get some comps and stuff, but you get the idea. They'll be very limited. And normally when we do those, the print runs normally end up being no more than about 30 or so. On occasion, we've had a few get up into like the 40s and 50s, but yeah, generally 30-ish copies, and that's nothing.
Yeah, and that's just one of the things. And then even to go further into the other stuff too, is that as soon as this thing comes up, which apparently it's just there we go. Apparently StreamYard's being difficult, everybody, but this is the remastered set, and I think there's 2 versions of this set. I know it's a lot of different people worked on this. I know Brian Peterson has a cover on this. I think
so left to right, it's Brian Peterson, MR Gunn, Nii Rufino. Second row is Narciso Sousa, Izaneto Adamar, Jason Hayhier. And then the bottom is Ryan Kincaid. And this is a 1 through 7 remastered set. This is the only way to get 1 through 7 singles on this campaign, because we're not going back and just doing massive reprints on the singles. So we did a set of these in singles. There's only, again, 50 total sets. You will get a matching numbers on that. So if you have number 10, all of them will say 10 out of 50 on the back. You'll get a matching set. And then there is a foil version of that as well. If you want to go big and get the foils, same thing. They will be printed to order, but only as sets, and you'll get matching number sets on those.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. That's a nice little touch, I feel, because I like when you do ordered sets, and I've ordered stuff from Mount Olympus that has matching number sets, and it's very, very helpful for a few reasons. Obviously you're not mixing and matching. And I've actually ordered comic books and paid more that were for graded books that have serial CGC numbers next to each other.
Yeah, sure.
For a reason. It's the Connecting Spider-Man set, 700 and Superior by Campbell. And the reason why is that they were signed at the same time and all sorts of fun stuff. And it actually, in my opinion, adds value to it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You have a serial matching set. That's the whole point. And then there's only 50 of them. That's nothing. That's nothing.
So that's something that I think is cool too. I didn't actually know there was a serial number matching to it, which is something very, very cool in that regard. And I think there's also a bunch of other stuff where there's catch-up packages and some other stuff. And anything, I think you can get pretty much the whole Big Dog Inc. Digital package, right, on this?
Yep. Yeah, you can do that. You can do it all digitally. You can do it all physically now because we have all the physical copies. So you can, if you want to dive into the entire series, you'll get literally every book from Penny for Your Soul physically this time. Yes.
And so obviously, anything that you want related to this, you can particularly get.
Yep.
And, if there's not something here that you want, I'm sure if Tom is willing to sell it, you can work it out. I'm sure you're more than happy to work out anything.
Yeah. If Penny for Your Soul is not your bag, BigDogInc.com will go right to our store. We do Westerns, horror, fantasy, science fiction, everything. So there's something for everybody there. And you're welcome to, poke around, see what you find. If you're on Facebook and you're seeing this, you can find me on Facebook, shoot me a message, ask me questions. We'll help you as best we can to find something that you like.
Yeah. And then obviously, there's a lot of stuff, and I do have one more question, but we are going to do my new thing here. And I have a game segment for you. And the stakes are higher than ever, Tom. Higher than ever.
Oh, are
I
they?
don't know if you're ready for it. This might change your life. It might change your life.
More than
likely.
likely.
Cancel your career. It might make your career double in size for all I know. So the game is simple. It's buy, sell, burn. So you have to buy an item.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you. You have to sell the other item, and you have to burn the third.
Sure.
So we're going to go. Ready for it?
This will be easy.
So you are Big Dog Inc. So I have a dog treat.
Yeah.
So you could buy this item, you could sell this item, or you could burn this item. But wait. There's another one. Now, I'm not too sure who did this book, but I heard it's not B and it's not D and it's definitely not A, and it's on the opposite side of the alphabet. So you could buy this item, sell this item, or burn this item, or I got one more for you. I got this bad boy right here, because I know how much you love Barbie. I know how much you're excited for
Barbie. Is a Barbie, isn't it?
It's Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch of the West.
That's a legit Barbie. Wow.
Yes. It exists. So I don't know which one.
I don't think I've ever seen the Wicked Witch of the West. I know they did one for the movie, that Oz Great and Powerful with Mila Kunis, that piece of crap. But I don't think I've ever, and I know that they've done the old, like Ken as the Scarecrow and stuff. I don't think I've ever seen that before. That's interesting.
It's Pink Label. You got to understand, it's Pink Label.
What does that mean?
Way too much about this. Way too much.
What does Pink Label mean?
I'm not exactly sure. No, I actually do. There's like Black Label, there's Platinum Label. It's just that they had all these different labels.
Yeah, but what do they mean?
It's just different rarity.
Oh, rarity. Okay, sure.
So like if you have like a platinum label, it's obviously worth more, and there was
Sure.
less of them. And I
Yeah.
think that, it's maybe a little bit of a higher quality of production,
Yeah.
because people go ballistic over this shit. My mom is a big Barbie collector, and she's a big
Mhm.
Wizard of Oz collector, so she spent some serious money on this stuff. But anyway, so which one are you gonna buy? Which one are you gonna burn? And which one are you gonna sell?
I think you got to buy, well, it kind of depends on when you sell it. I think you got to buy the penny for your soul, because you got to sit on that one. You got to sell the Oz thing, because you can sell the Oz thing right now, put it on eBay. I don't know how much it's worth. But I've never seen it. So that might tell you something. And then you can burn doggy treat, or give it to your dog. If you have a dog, you can just let him eat it instead of burning it in front of his eyes.
Absolutely. Perfect. And then I want to touch on one more topic with you. And no, it's
Yeah.
not Top Gun. It's not Top Gun.
Should be Top Gun.
It can be. It could always be Top Gun. You can never ever go wrong with Top Gun.
I agree.
Or Macross Plus. Macross Plus or Top Gun. You can never go wrong with either one of those. Bryan Cranston did a great job in that movie. He was in Macross Plus, everybody, in case you didn't know. And then he later was doing crystal meth in the back while recording, but that's not the point. Terrible joke. But I am curious where you see the comic industry going, because we touched upon a lot of it in this interview, and I think it's an interesting time in comics. I think that a lot of creators have a lot more power than they've ever had before, but I also think it's trickier than ever, because I think you said in January that there was real concerns where the Kickstarter number wasn't over 200 till week 3 or the end of week 3.
Well, that wasn't a concern. That was more just a note. It was an interesting note. And it wasn't long till we got to the end of January and early February where that number spiked to the highest number that I saw was 288 active campaigns. So it did spike. It has settled back down into the 260 range, which is kind of normal, 250, 260. But the industry, it's hard to talk about the industry without defining the industry, because the industry right now is in very poor shape overall. But the industry is generally described as, retail stores. And they don't really look beyond that element. And retail stores right now are struggling all over the place. Publisher sales numbers are down pretty much across the board, including Marvel and DC. Distribution has gone crazy because Marvel and DC left Diamond, so it's become trickier to get books that way. For me, I left all of that behind. Purposely, I left all that behind 6 years ago when we started doing Kickstarter. So for me, the industry has nothing to do with retail stores, and I think there's a huge contingent of creators that are in that same boat. That's not to say they don't want to get into stores. Some might even do like consignment for their local shops and stuff. That's still a very viable thing. And there are publishers now who are finding stuff that has been on Kickstarter and taking it like, hey, this was a successful Kickstarter thing. Let's take it over and put it into comic book stores. That's a real thing that's happening. So I think that from a creative standpoint, the industry right now is the Wild West, because literally you can do anything you want, anytime you want. And crowdfunding allows you to do that. There are no real gatekeepers to anything that you want to do. It used to be you had to pitch to a publisher and they had to accept you. I tried that 6 times with Penny for Your Soul, and none of them even had the courtesy to say no. I was ignored. And hence Big Dog Inc. exists, because there's that chip on my shoulder. And here we are 13 years later, and we've built a successful company. We're not Image, we're not Dark Horse, we're not Oni Press, we're not any of these kinds of things, but we're here, we're existing, and we're thriving. And that, I think, is really the key, is that anyone who wants to do this can do it now. Yes, you still need some startup capital to, get your book going before you go to Kickstarter, because you don't want to be like, hey, I have nothing, give me $10,000. Like, that's not going to work. But if you can come in and say, like, look, here's some interiors, here's a couple of covers that we're going to do, here is what we want to do, we're new at this, please bear with us, it might take us 6 months. You can build something slowly that can, be done alongside your normal 9-to-5 job, and over time just build it into a larger scale business if you want to. And I think that even the big creators now are seeing that. There's a lot of big creators that are moving to all forms of crowdfunding, from Kickstarter to Indiegogo to Patreon to Substack. There are more ways now to create and put what you're creating out into the public for them to consume than ever before. Now, that's also a tricky problem sometimes, because, again, you have to fight for bandwidth and likes and all that kind of stuff. But at minimum, you have the ability to build a fan base through all of this stuff that we're doing here, podcasts and social media and whatever. You have the ability to do it now. Now you just have to decide, do you want to do it? How far do you want to take it? Is it just going to be a hobby? Do you just want to make a comic? Do you want to make a series? Do you want to do this for the rest of your life? All of those opportunities are available, and none of them involve the retail side, the retail store side of comic books. So, just figure out where you want to be, and you can make it happen.
And also, I mean, there's more opportunities to sell than ever before, too.
Yeah.
I mean, you can control your own sale point. I mean, obviously, at some point, I'm going to do my own thing, and I'm well aware that I have an eBay store. So I have an ability to sell on eBay.
Well,
and
everybody doing comics should be crowdfunding, eBaying, web storing, Comic Cons if you can. You should have all of these channels in your brain as you're building. If you're coming from zero, you need all of these channels to start being built up, so that when you're actually have a book, once the crowdfunding works and you have a book, you need to have multiple channels to keep selling it, so that you can then take that money and put it back into issue 2, and then you kind of do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again.
And there's a saying, and this is what I do, not necessarily with comics, but I build businesses that are perpetuity machines.
Mm-hmm.
So I build businesses that self-fund themselves, both through stocks. Right. Obviously, my eBay business does that very effectively. In the next 6 months, will have done that with bonds and small business corporate bonds. And this is what everybody in Kickstarter needs to figure out how to do, or crowdfunding is. You need to figure out how to create a self-perpetuity machine before you even think about, that should be one of the first things after you write your book and all that stuff, is the business side. And I think that's one of the biggest problems, is that a lot of people are really creative. And I think we're in the most creative age ever, collectively, in every sector. I think, though, in comics, a lot of creators struggle with the business side. And I think it's a real deficit. And I think that a lot of creators need to go on Amazon and buy "How do I get good at business?" and just type that in on Amazon and read a business book or two. Read Business for Dummies. Read Business for Dummies, please. I want you to succeed, everybody. And I want you to get better at this, because I think the issue in comics, and the biggest issue, is not creation. I think it's figuring out how to structure a business. Yeah. And I really think that's an issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Amazon's your best friend for that. Legitimately, you can go and download a digital book for $5. That'll help you so many ways. And no, I did not write one yet. And maybe I should. I don't know. I would give it for $1, but I would make you all sign up for my email list so I could be an Amazon bestseller. But anyway, it's a dream of mine. A man can dream, Tom. A man can dream.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Most people dream about being an astronaut. I dream about writing a business book to help everybody in comics. But anyway, I digress. I also dream about other things too, like flying. But that's all right. That's all right. I do, though, want to give you a chance to self-promote yourself. Where could people find you, bother you? Check out Big Dog Inc. Check out the Kickstarter. Actually, make sure that you're sold out of everything before this campaign ends. So you can just go, we're done. 100K, we're good. All that fun stuff.
Yeah, basically anywhere you go, you can just kind of look for Big Dog Inc. and you'll probably find us. Facebook is pretty much where we live, so everything kind of goes there first and then filters outwards. You can find me on Big Dog Inc. Or on Facebook. You can find Big Dog Inc. on Facebook. Twitter and Instagram, BDI Comics. Patreon is BDI Comics as well. TikTok is also BDI Comics, but there's nothing there yet. We'll be working on that this year at some point. But yeah, that's it. And then, we do Kickstarters pretty much quarterly on Kickstarter. Penny for Your Soul active right now. We're just starting. We still have, what is it? 15 days left, something like that. We just got started. We'll be back in May for Goth Day issue 3, which is already underway. And then July will be our BD 13-year anniversary special anthology with some guest writers joining me for some stuff. We'll have some fun in July, and then on and on and on. But yeah, you find us where I told you, and friend us up.
Yeah, and then I'm just going to keep saying it. I've been saying it for almost 4 years. You have to support what you like, and you have to financially support what you like, and you have to financially support what you want to see get made more of, whatever that is. And if you like Big Dog Inc., you like Penny for Your Soul, you like anything out of Big Dog Inc., the Oz stuff, Ursula Minor, anything else of that nature, well, you obviously have to back Kickstarters. When they come out, you have to go to bigdoginc.com and buy the trade paperbacks or the hardcovers or whatever else there is out there, or the eBay store, wherever else you're going to get your shit. You need to buy it, because if you don't buy it, it doesn't get made.
And all of our stuff starts at Kickstarter. All of it starts at Kickstarter. So there is no retail store. We're not in Diamond. Retail stores are not buying our books because they can't, unless they are dealing direct with us. There are a few people that deal direct with us. But for the most part, we are from us to you company. Kickstarter, us to you. Website, us to you. Comic Cons, us to you. So we want to kind of cut out the middleman as much as we can and just deal directly with you guys. And that's what we've been doing for the past 6 years.
And so I've just always been saying it is that if you like something, you need to spend your money on it, because that's sort of the fuel that goes into the engine that moves the car, is a nice way to put it. And furthermore, if something is not your cup of tea and it's on Kickstarter, you should still be following people on social media, because engaging with them, sharing out campaigns, even liking something, commenting on something that's cool art on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, it helps. And you don't know who's going to see it, when they're going to see it, what it's going to trigger. And believe me, I've shared things on my wall that have gotten people backers, and it was a simple 3-second click of a button, and it got somebody $60. Or even just mentioning to somebody, hey, Tom's got a campaign. Somebody's like, yo, Tom's got a campaign, man. I missed the last one. I've been kicking myself all this time. And I've heard stories countless with people about that. And so I let people know who I know are fans of yours that, hey, you got something going on. So that's something to keep in the back of your head, everybody. And it's extremely important to follow people on social media. As far as I'm concerned, everything that I'm doing, obviously I'm Pop Anime Comics on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube on Pop Anime Comics. I guarantee you there's an interview for you. I got a lot of content coming out this year, and a lot of micro content. A lot of shorts are coming. A lot of other stuff's coming. A lot of fun stuff's coming that I think people are going to be very excited for. I will be doing a Big Dog Inc. mystery box unboxing for this campaign, the Ursula Minor campaign. I may or may not have harsh words depending on what I get, because Tom may or may not be filling it up with just wet paper towels. I don't know if he's decided to do that yet. Just look at his face. It's
just get a box of Kleenex with a sticker on it. The Big Dog sticker on it. Yeah. Exactly. There you go.
Exactly. I'm looking forward to it. It'd be pretty funny if I opened it up and then it was like that. Oh, it'd be great. It'd be great. If you do that, though, tell me to open it up on April 1st. This way it'll be even funnier. I have a very dark sense of humor, everybody. But I will be actually live unboxing that, because I think it'll be a good time. I think it'll be fun. And I think it'll be cool to talk about it. But yeah, look out for that, everybody, when that thing comes. But yeah, I appreciate everybody who subscribes. I also have Buy Me a Coffee if you want to support independent media. My ad rates are up there too. If you want to advertise on this show, super fun there. Again, not necessary, but I appreciate all support. But I do require everybody should subscribe to me on YouTube. It'll make me feel special for like 5 minutes. So please do that. And if you don't like my YouTube channel, you can change your mind later. That's what's nice about all that. But I digress on all of that. I appreciate everybody coming out, and I'm going to let Tom take us out.
Oh yeah, thanks. No, I'm glad always happy to be here. Again, anybody that has questions about anything Big Dog Inc., just shoot me a message anywhere you do your social media. I'm happy to help if I can. I
don't think I could have said it any better myself, everybody. So that is a wrap.